Alright, and what do you call the, if you multiply the two factors, what do you call the answer? What is the answer called?
The result.
Product. Okay. Alright, now, as we discuss about the properties of multiplication, I'm going to hand you out some papers that will help you with some words that you're going to use during the whole class. Okay. Now tell me what comes into your mind when you see the following words: commutative, associative, and distributive. Any idea? No? Okay, so let's make it simpler. Let's look at their root words. Commutative, the root word of commutative is commute. Okay? Associative means associate. Distribute means, distributive, the root word is distribute. Okay? So, commute means a regular journey of some distance to and from work. Okay? If you can see in your papers and you see the word, write down the word that corresponds to the definition within your paper. So, again, commute means a regular journey of some distance to and from work. Okay? You can see in the drawing, there's a train, yeah? Okay. So, to and from work, equal distance, that means commute. Associate means to connect with someone. Okay. For example, Carmen associates with Kate every class. So that means that they are connecting with each other. Okay. Distribute here, it means to give shares evenly.
Even.
Yeah, even. Or to give shares. Okay. Now, as a review, who can tell me the meaning of the word commute again?
A regular journey of some distance to and from work.
Okay. How about associated?
To connect with someone.
Connect with someone and distribute?
Give shares evenly.
Okay. Wonderful. You're awesome. Okay, now in your paper, if you observe in the bottom, I want you to fill in the blanks the word that best suits the sentence. Now the drawing will help you identify the word needed in those blanks.
So,
I'll give you a minute.
this picture. No.
So just use the root words, yeah? Commute, associate, and distribute. Alright. Now, these words are going to be used as we go along the lesson. Okay? Now, the first property of multiplication is commutative. Okay. And then the second one is associative, and the third one is distributive. Now for the commutative property of multiplication, we have one example here, 4 times 10. Now for the commutative property of multiplication, it says that changing the order of the factors does not change the product. What is a product again?
The result.
As a result of two or more factors multiplied together. Now, for the commutative property, it says that changing the order of the factors. So 4 is a factor, 10 is a factor, yeah? So if you're gonna change the order, you're gonna put 10 first, and then put 4. It does not change the product. So there are several steps that we can follow when it comes to commutative property. Step 1 is to copy the second factor and multiply it to the second factor. Step 2, multiply each sides. So 4 times 10 is equals to 40, and 10 times 4 is equals to 40. So the same answer, even though the order of the factors are different. Okay? Now the second one is associative property of multiplication. Now, open parenthesis 2 times 3, close parenthesis times 4 is a good example of associative property of multiplication. Now for this property, it says that when we're multiplying more than 2 numbers, the grouping of the factors does not change the product. Okay. So for this example, you can see that 2 and 3 are grouped together inside of parentheses. So if we're going to change that one, okay, by following step 1, which is copy the sequence of factors to the right side, which is 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're just gonna follow that. We're not gonna change the order. And then step 2, group the middle 30 factors inside the parentheses in opposite as shown on the right. So as you can see here, the order is 2, 3, and 4. You just copy that order, 2, 3, and 4. What we just changed is the grouping. Okay, so in the right side, we group 2 and 3, and on the right side, we group 3 and 4. Okay. Now let's see if they have different answers or the same answers.
Different.
Now step 3, it says multiply first the factors inside the parentheses. So 2 times 3 is equals to 6. 3 times 4, 12. So 6 and then 12. Okay. And then we're gonna multiply the product to the factor outside the parentheses. Okay. So 6 times 4 is equals to 24. 2 times 12 is equals to 24. Okay. Now, the last property is the distributive property of multiplication. Now, we have an example here. As you can see, who can tell me what is the difference of the given factors here from the factors that we had in cumulative property? There's a plus sign. Okay, so you can always know that a factor set is a distributive property if it has a plus sign inside the parentheses. Okay, so for this property, it says that the factor or the factors can be divided to the variables inside the parentheses. Okay, let's see how we do it. Now there are different steps that we can follow so that we can show that this one is distributive property of multiplication. Step 1 is distribute the outside factor to each of the variable inside the parentheses. So for this one, what is the outside factor? 2. So and the rule says, what do we do with a factor? We distribute it. So 2 times 3 and then 2 times 4. Let's see. Okay? And then
Distribute evenly, yeah?
yeah. Step 2 is multiply the distributed factor to the variable. So 2 times 3 is equals to 6, and 2 times 4 is equals to 8. Okay? And then you just add the two products. Okay? And the answer will be 14. Now there's a different way to solve the distributive property of multiplication. If you look at here, we distributed a factor to to the variables inside the parentheses, yeah. But on the right side, what we did was we just add the two variables inside the parentheses and then multiplied it to the factor outside the parentheses. But they all still got the same answers. Okay. Those are the rules for getting the distributive property on the right side. Now, what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how each property works. So for example here, I have a triangle, yeah, and it has three different numbers. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Two, three, and four. So who can remember the first property of multiplication again? Commutative, yeah, commutative. So for the commutative property, we'll just choose two numbers, okay, from either sides of the triangle. So for this one, I'll just choose 2 and 4. So I'm gonna write here 2 times 4 is equals to. So how do we do the commutative property? 4 times 2, and then just multiply those factors. 8. Okay. Now, this is the first one, and then the second property is the associative property of multiplication. Now, for the associative property of multiplication, you're gonna need 3 numbers. So we're gonna use all the numbers in the sides of the triangle. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group 2 numbers. And then I'm just going to copy the order of the numbers on the right side. So the order is 2, 3, and 4. But the difference is since the left side grouped the 3 and 4, yeah. So in the right side we're grouping 2 and 3. Okay. And then what's the next? What's the next rule again? We multiply the factors inside the parentheses. So 3 times 4 is equals to 12. Okay, 2 times 3 is equals to 6 times 4. And then we're just gonna multiply them. The answer is 24. Answer is 24. Now this is the associative property of multiplication. Now the last one that we're going to do is the distributive property of multiplication. So for the distributive property, we're gonna need 3 numbers. Yeah. So what we're going to do is just use the 3 numbers that we have. So 2, 3 plus 4. And then do we change the order? No, yeah. So what are we going to do next?
Oh wait, are we not saying just this?
Hey, just this one.
Oh, okay. Parentheses first.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Distribute evenly.
Evenly. That's why it's distributed, yeah? Okay. So 2 times 3.
Give shares easily.
Plus 2 times 4.
2 times 4.
Yes.
So 2 times 3 is equals to 6 plus 8. The answer is 14. Okay, but for this one, what we're going to do is we're not just going to do it this way, but also the other way, which is to multiply or to add the variables inside the parentheses, which is 7. 3 plus 4 is equals to 7. And 2 times 7 is equals to 14. Now I'm gonna give you 2 to 3 minutes to answer those in your papers, and then yeah, and then make an example for each of the properties of multiplication. Okay. Now, to help you understand the properties of multiplication, you can work in 2. Okay, so yeah, so you can work in a group. And if you have any questions, just turn to your seatmates and then help each other out.
So you do the parentheses first, the second.
But
The second for
associated, yeah.
you do the parentheses first, right? When you reduce it.
4 times 7.
Thank you. 3 times 4. Is that right? 12. 3 times 28. Oh, there's 3 times 8. Sorry. 3 times 28.
Oh, that's 8.
Oh, okay.
So
No, I'm assuming
so
12 times 7.
Yeah.
I'm assuming 12 times 7 is 84. Last one. One is 7 times. So 7 times 3 is 25.
Oh,
It's on the one side.
I did mine, I know, I did mine 3, not 7. I was like, why is it not? I started.
7 times 7, 49.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
So for the second line.
We did different numbers for the last
Oh,
one.
okay.
Buttons.
We just do it for the third one. It's just 7. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah. So are you all done?
But maybe we'll give them the same number.
Yeah.
Oh. So
Even that math for
I'm really nervous to use my praxis.
5 years.
okay, now that you're done answering those papers, I want you to go back to your seat. Okay, and then this time we're gonna see if you can identify the properties of multiplication using by looking at several examples. Okay, now I'm gonna hand you a paper. Okay. And then try to see if and fill in the blanks the properties of multiplication that corresponds to the given examples.
Is that right, teacher?
We're gonna check your papers. Just wait for one. Are you done?
I was on chest. I don't know why.
Is it?
Yeah. I was on chest for those calls. It's weird. It's like if I sit in mine, I'm like rubbing my arms and make it up. Like I can just move my shoulders. It's like it's really jarring. But like if I'm just like I've been sitting like this, but when I get up. Usually it's my back.
Yeah.
Mine's always
Well,
my chest.
Alright, so now we're going to check your papers, but before that, let us recite the 3 properties of multiplication. What is the first one?
Definition.
No, just the
Oh.
name.
Commutative.
Commutative. Okay, again.
Commutative.
The second property is
Associative.
associative. Again.
Associative.
And the third one is
Distributive.
distributive.
I got that one.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're gonna pass our papers to the right on my count. Okay. 1. Yeah, pass your papers.
Oh,
1, and then 2, and then I want you to write your name. Okay.
Where?
Just in the bottom or somewhere, and then check the paper. Okay.
Okay,
If you have any questions, just let me know.
oh my gosh. I'm really sorry for my hungry. I resisted it
Who's this one?
Okay, once you're done checking, just submit them in the front. Wow, these are good scores. I'm really impressed with your scores today. Okay. Now just remember those properties of multiplication, because in our next meeting we're gonna have some multiplication problems, and we're gonna use those properties in those problems. Okay. You have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How do you stop it?
Right.